Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Hello, everybody. Tuesday, 2nd of March 2021. Happy days for you guys. I hope you're fine. This finds you okay. Welcome to our brothers and sisters from Ireland, all the volunteers from the SSI, also our friends from UK, from Portugal, from Poland, and from America. So good to have you guys here. It's a pleasure to be here, Wanderley and I.
Yes.
So today we're going to talk about chapter 1 of the Gospel according to Spiritism. Okay? And the main topic is I have not come to destroy the law. Basically, we're going to split this talk in two parts. The first part, we will talk about the three revelations. And the second part, we will talk about associate them. So how they can merge in a called new era. Okay? Yeah. Make sense, Wanderley?
Oh, yeah. It does.
Okay. Hello, Patricia. Hi. I hope you're okay. Yeah. So we cannot complain. Yesterday we have a good sunshine here. I even prepared a barbecue on Sunday, so I'm okay.
Having fun.
Happy, you know? Yeah.
Happy.
Yeah. Okay. So, hello, Denise. Welcome. Nice to have you here with us today. So, in order to start, I'd like to invite everyone to do the initial prayer. So, I would like you, if you can, if you want to have a deep breath, calm down, and raise up your thoughts towards our mentors, towards the superior spirits, asking them to send over us what we need in order to overcome all the barriers we need to face on our daily basis. Also, we want to send these good vibrations to our brothers and sisters who are in the hospitals, on the street without any shelter, without any home, those who are suffering silence at home with anxiety, with suicidal thoughts. May this prayer reach their hearts, their soul, and comfort them. So be it. Amen. Okay. So, Wanderley, as we said today, we will talk about chapter 1, and the book is The Gospel According to Spiritism by Allan Kardec.
Correct.
Okay, and I want to leave clear here, please send your questions. Don't let us talking alone here. But anyway, I hope this makes sense for you. So let's just make a recap from what we saw last week, and what the Gospel according to Spiritism represents to the to the Spiritism movement. The Gospel according to Spiritism is a collection of all moral teachings given by Jesus. Okay? So Kardec, he compiled all the moral teachings here, and he analyzed these moral teachings according to the Spiritism. Okay? It's not a book written by himself, it was dictated by the spirits. So it's not Kardec's ideas. Sometimes he put in a different words his comments, but the idea, the words here, it's given by the superior spirits. Okay. And last week we studied a little bit of the introduction, and this introduction we talk about Socrates and Plato. Okay, why they are considered one of the predecessors of the Spiritism, and we saw that an idea is not built from day to night. An idea, it's built in phases along the time. Okay, it's not because someone just had a bright idea, you do it and it's going to work. In order to make work, you need to introduce this little by little and fix the issues, improve something there, improve something there in another way, and then you're going to move this until you reach to the right message. And kindly, we're going to talk about this today, because we're going to focus on Moses, Christ, and Spiritism. So it's someone who introduced, someone who come to develop, and someone who going to give the final message. Okay?
Yeah.
Wanderley, any?
No, it's just when you say someone, but let's clarify, guys. Stevan is correct. But once we talk about the third part, it's not someone, it's a group of the spirits. Yeah. Because otherwise someone may say, so Kardec, is he someone who came from God? I mean, we all came from God with good ideas, but Kardec was a messenger. He was just the postman. So the spirits, they brought the idea, and Kardec was the one. But one thing that Stevan said, which is quite nice, we have to understand that, as he said, several ideas, they take sometimes centuries to become true. We take, for example, Leonardo da Vinci. He had the idea to create the helicopter, the airplane, 500 years ago, and we were able only to see the helicopter and the airplane in the beginning of the 20th century. So for material things and for the different ideas, also it takes time. So sometimes, as Stevan said, Plato and Socrates brought an idea, Jesus was there, and when Jesus brought the idea that we have in the Gospels, he knew that humanity wasn't ready for that. And also, something that we have to understand about the Gospel according to Spiritism, as Stevan said, it's not only the parts related to the moral, I agree with Stevan, but also the parts which throughout history was a bit difficult to the majority of people to understand. So Kardec took these parts which they are related to the moral, but also those difficult parts which perhaps were contradictory to the teachings of Jesus, to explain, but not Kardec, the spirits. For example, here, when Jesus says in the chapter 1, in the Gospel according to Spiritism, we can find that in Matthew 5:17 and 18. I have not come to destroy the law. But which law was Jesus talking about in that time? We always have to take what people said in the past and put back in that historical context. So in that case, Jesus was a Jew. Okay, he was a man who was following the Jewish traditions. So perhaps we could say in that time that Jesus didn't come to destroy the Jewish law. But as a lot of things that Jesus said, the meaning is a bit deeper. Okay, so Jesus perhaps was trying to say to everyone, I didn't come here to destroy the law of Moses, but I came here to help you guys to understand, to clarify a few points. If I'm going too far, but I'm starting talking about Moses already, Stevan. But if you take a few points of Moses, for example, a few parts which Moses brought, for some it might sound quite strange, because according to the Mosaic law, if a woman was taking adultery, the woman would be stoned. Of course, only the women. The men, we were sent, you know. Of course, we can understand, guys, sorry about the joke, that the time of Moses, it was a quite sexist time. But how come Moses would say to people, go there and stone that woman or even that man? If before he said in the 10 Commandments that we should not kill, we shall not kill. So his idea was contradictory. So here in the Gospel according to Spiritism, we have the sense that Moses had to create some laws according to the time and according to the people who was there. Because at that time, we, and when I say we, guys, make no mistake, we were there. We were the previous reincarnations of those people. I'm not saying that we were beside Moses, but we were these old spirits, which were perhaps quite more rebel. So in this part of the gospel here, the spirits, they make a brilliant part explaining that the 10 commandments, these commandments, perhaps they come from God. And also they serve for the entire, all the nations in the world and at all times. But I have to admit, once you take the number 3, which remember the Sabbath or Shabbat by keeping it holy, I was thinking, if that's for all the times and all the people, how come did God say only to keep the Sabbath, which was a Jewish tradition? But perhaps we have to make it a bit broader. Maybe Moses was trying to say, we always should keep at least one day of the week in order to try to connect with God. Not only one day, but all the time. But at that time of Moses, people, they only would hear Moses because of Moses was trying to bring things like this, black and white. You know? Sorry, Stevan. Do you want to say something? Oh, yeah.
No, I just say, okay, everything we go when we start to analyze something, we needed to put ourselves in the context of that time. We cannot analyze even Moses or the Old Testament with nowadays
knowledge and traditions and situations.
Yes. Okay. Even though Kardec, for example, he used different expressions here. They didn't have like electricity at that time, so they use something. Today, we understand he wants to mean electricity. So, but going back to these, using these analysis here, we need to understand that Moses was leading a people who they promised a land. They are 40 years in the desert. So walking and no land, no promised land. You know, it's kind of brutal people. They needed to. Then you need to be more severe in order to impose something. Okay, you need to act more. This is why you will see in Moses we have the power of the law. With Christ, we can see that, okay, we do have something beyond. And with the Spiritism, we do have, how is this life in that beyond? So this is how these 3 revelations join.
Work together.
Yeah, how they can join. Okay, so at the time Moses, in order to control the people, to control everyone, he had to be more, let's say, severe. You know, he needed to impose this. You know, we are not discussing here. He did not receive the 10 Commandments. We do believe he have received, because Moses is one of the most extraordinary mediums of physical effects. Okay, so Moses is the proof of the first mediumship manifestation we have known. Okay, so what we are saying here, we needed to understand that context at that time, and once we figure out, or we just can imagine here, you know, we needed to read the text and say, okay, he needed to say this because there is no way to control. Can you imagine someone who is, let's put the words barbarian, you know, you need to control them. And Moses was getting old, no promised land arriving. So if today, nowadays, is difficult for a president to run a country or a prime minister, because there's so many people with different thoughts, with different ideas, with different objectives. Okay, when someone goes up there, they try to do something, and of course you always gonna have someone against your ideas. So if today we are more civilized than the time of Moses, can you imagine how difficult it was for him to lead a people at that time? Okay, really. So
no, and that's why everything, because once we think about this, we have to understand, as we said, the spiritual world is clever. So they brought some ideas to Moses, which was very good, and they were correct for that time. So 500 years later, after Jesus' time, it wasn't good. I'm not saying that they weren't good enough at all, but humankind, the spirits, us, we have developed a little bit. So our heart was becoming a bit more sweet, you know, soft. Yeah, a bit. Yeah, soft. We start to say, hey, how you doing? Before you just throw stone to people. Now we just say, hey, good morning, neighbor. You know, we started there. So that's why when Jesus came, he said, I didn't come to destroy the law of Moses, or the law of God, as we see in the Gospel according to Spiritism, but I came to fulfill it. So I came to really make sure that this law of God, or the law of Moses, is being obeyed, but not the Mosaical laws, which is not in the 10 Commandments, because the rest is creations of Moses. I'm not saying that it was bad, it was good, his creation, but as Stevan said, he had to try to control people. Okay, maybe we in his place would do even worse. At least I would do, for sure. So Jesus came to us and started to say, guys, let's calm down. Let's try to see the other with a nicer eyes. When you see someone who is being stoned, let's try to make people not do it. Let's try to say to people, hey, if you was someone from your family, would you like that to be done? Oh, that's the law. I know that's the law. But what about if it was your son? Would you say that's the law? So Jesus starts to bring to us this sense that we should put ourselves in the other's position. He starts to bring us what? Empathy. So Jesus starts to bring this. That's why he said several times that we say, not that he said, we say in the Spiritist movement that Moses brought the law and Jesus brought love. Jesus was the one who brought love, who tries to say to humankind, we must love each other. And of course, as we have in the Gospel according to Spiritism, Jesus doesn't mean that love that I would feel for my brother would be the same love that I'm going to feel for someone who hurt someone in my family. No, Jesus is not saying this. But Jesus is saying, if someone does anything bad against you, I know it's hard to not hate that person, but let's try our best. Let's try, once we have the chance, to not act in vengeance, but to be there, really like biting our nails if we have to, but not hurting anyone else. Chico Xavier always said, it's much better for us to be the one who is attacked than to be the one who attacks someone. Yeah. So Jesus brought this sense. Of course, here, as we said, we cannot be naive to say, okay, Jesus came, he lived for 33 years. Some scholars, they said he lived for until his 40s. We don't know 100%. But even if he lived until he was 45, just an example, okay, guys? We could not imagine, because that's not really, that doesn't make sense, that only because he lived between us, everything that he said, we would be following the next day or in the next generation. No. Once he said to the apostles and said to people around him, love one another, he knew that would take maybe more than 2,000 years. That's why, even more, we are still here 2,000 years later, and we're still not being able to do this. But as we have here in the Gospel according to Spiritism, Stevan was saying that Spiritism is the third revelation. Why we say in Spiritism that is the third revelation? Let's say again, it's not Kardec, it's the work of the spirits, okay? Let's not try to make Kardec to become a god. He's not a god. He's someone important, but he's like us, with all respect. But the Spiritism brought to us that teachings which Jesus brought to us about love and about certain aspects, which for us was much more like a miracles, which was something quite magical. And he starts to bring with science, maybe not going to have the time to talk about this today, but with science, Spiritism starts to bring some sense. So a lot of things with Jesus lived, Spiritism explains to us, maybe he said this. Stevan, sorry if I'm going too far, but I'm just going to give one example, which is not in this part. Imagine someone like Jesus, who said, love your neighbor, love God above all things, try to be nice, try to forgive your enemies, like he said in the cross. In one part of the Bible, he says, I didn't come to bring love and peace, but I came to bring the sword and the fire, and I want everything to be burned. Then I would ask, come on, did he bring peace, or did he bring these crazy, maybe revolutionary ideas? That's why the Gospel according to Spiritism is trying to explain to us more or less what Jesus was trying to say, because he could not be the man who brings love and at the same time brings war. That doesn't make sense. So we can understand that maybe Jesus didn't say certain parts of the Bible, or maybe they were misinterpreted by man. And that's a point that we have to always pay attention. Sorry, Stevan.
No, it's correct. It's right. We need to analyze the context, and again, we needed to understand that Jesus, he didn't came to change the law. He came to fulfill and develop it. So he needed to fulfill some prophecies because he was Jewish. He born in a Jew environment, so he needed to behave as the traditions, as the people at the time. Okay. But what he said, he introduced it to everyone. A loving God, not a vengeance God, not a selfish God, but a love God, which doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter what you think. He will love you unconditionally.
Of course.
Okay? That's the message he brought to us. Okay? And also he said, Wanderley perhaps know better than me what was exactly words, but he said his kingdom don't belongs to here, and
that's what is the word, yeah.
Yeah, and at the same time he said, okay, sorry, I forgot my train of thought. He said he kingdom don't belong to here, and at the same time he said that there is many places mentions in my father's house. So yeah. What he means is he started to give some ideas. Hey, it's not what you live here, it's not what you see here that matters. There is something beyond this. Yeah. So he gave the first steps to introduce the Spiritism. No, not the Spiritism. I don't wanna be bossy or
bias
about the Spiritism. I just say the Spiritism is just a teachings in which make the relationship between the material world and the spiritual world more reliable, more fraternal. In saying, hey guys, you have this. This is why at least for me, this is why the Spiritism is considered the revelation, because Spiritism explained to us many things that Jesus said 2,000 years ago, and they didn't understand. Also, he said, okay, many things I'm saying here, you will not understand right now. Okay, so we need to see it, and you can tell me, okay, is Spiritism a religion? For Stevan, answer that question. If someone asks me that question, I will say no, in terms of what we know about religion,
dogmas and the traditions and everything. Yeah.
Okay. If we consider Spiritism as a dogma, as a hierarchy, as someone to punish, command, no, this is not a religion whatsoever. Okay? Spiritism is a science. I'm using Kardec here. Is a science, a philosophy with moral, religious consequences. Yeah. Okay? So first of all, Spiritism is a science and a philosophy. It's a philosophy because we needed to understand ourselves. We needed to use our reasonable brain. We needed to put our feet on the ground. We needed to get detached from the material school, because everything today we have is a material. The materialism imposes everything to us. But we needed to say, okay, yes, materialism is important, perfect, yes, it's important, but when you use materialism with reasonable faith and work together, then you will have a more accurate idea, a more accurate overview. So this is what the Spiritism brings to us.
And Spiritism, Steve, as Steve was saying, we have this let's say, triple aspects. And some people, they may ask, but why is Spiritism a religion? Because when Kardec, remember, the first book of Kardec is the Spirit's book. The second is not the Gospel according to Spiritism, it's the medium's book. Why? Because Kardec understood, okay, there are messages coming from everywhere, from different places, from different mediums. So we have to understand and to study what's going on in the spiritual world, why these spirits are bringing here, and how are these mediums receiving. So Spiritism is a science, because Spiritism tries to study and analyze with scientific methods how this connection is done. If you take the medium's book, guys, and try to read, guys, we are trying to do this every 15 days. And for us, it's quite hard, because Kardec has some terms which they're very scientific, and nowadays we see some scientists here in the UK, we have in America, in Canada, where we have in Brazil a huge scientific community and medical community, and that's not my word, guys. You guys can Google that, medical spiritist associations, or in the UK, I forgot the name of the doctor, Stevan, the old man with long hair. Peter Fenwick, yeah. That's a British doctor. He's not a spiritist. I mean, at least he doesn't say he is, but he's not officially. But he's a man of science, and he believes in reincarnation. He believes there is a connection, between the spiritual world. Yes, Stevenson, Gene Tucker. So we have all this. Yeah, we have all this from the time of Kardec. We had these huge studies, and now we have in the Gospel according to Spiritism, and then we can go back to the idea of Jesus and Moses. They were the first ones. Plato and Socrates came before, but of course, Plato and Socrates came before, but and Jesus was, let's say, the high spirit involved. So before Plato and Socrates, they start to understand this, Jesus was the one who was helping them in the spiritual world. So Jesus is the center spirit who is trying to help all of us. So we can understand that several ideas, they came and they need time. Kardec knew that the medium's book wouldn't be a book that everyone would appreciate in the time that it was created. So once we have here the Gospel according to Spiritism, as Stevan says, it brings to us this more, perhaps, religious aspect, but religious here without dogma. But which religious then, Wanderley? The religiosity which tries to connect us with God. Because religion has this kind of sense that helps us with our morality. There was a study, I think it was in America and in Germany also, which parents who gave to their children any kind of religious teachings when they were small, doesn't matter which religion, a lot of them, they become, I wouldn't say better humans, but they become people who had a bit more empathy towards the others in their community. Of course, a lot of them, they start to don't believe in anything. So we are not saying that the religious is the only way. No, that's why I have the philosophical and the scientific aspect. The religious aspect is there for those who like that, like I do, Stevan does. Mm-hmm. So the Spiritists bring this idea that this God is a father. But is he like we call bonzinho, that father who gives to us everything, like a father who spoils their child with their prayers? No. Spiritism and Jesus brings a God which is like this. He's a just, but he's a loving God. So he must be just with his children, with all of the children. But he loves them also. That's why he gives to us reincarnation, because if we take which, with all respect, with some religions, they say, if you die, you go to heaven or hell. So I'm going to go to heaven or hell just because I did a few things here in this life, and I only had one life, and maybe I didn't have anyone teach me before how to be a better person. Maybe I was a very poor person, and I was born in a very difficult family. So now, because I made some mistakes, I go to hell forever. For Kardec and for the scientific people at that time, that didn't make sense. But once we bring reincarnation and say, hey, maybe you did something here, you did something there, you're going to try to fix here, try to fix in the future, and we keep coming. This, at least for me, and I believe for the for the Frenchman at the time of Kardec made much more sense for a loving God, because he knows that we're going to keep failing, but we're going to have a chance. Keep failing and have a chance until we fix. That's why here we have in the Gospel according to Spiritism, in the part when he says, I do not think that I came to abolish the law or the prophets. I have come to abolish them. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. And then I tell you the truth, that until heaven and earth disappear, not the smallest letter nor the smallest stroke of a pen will be gone by all means, disappear until the law is fulfilled. So Jesus is saying to us that until we fix everything that we must fix, until the last dot, until the last letter, until the last dot, we're not going to progress, but we're going to have a chance. So everything, that's why here in the end, in the part 7 of the Gospel according to Spiritism, the spirits, they bring the sense to us that until everything is fixed, until we don't fix ourselves, the world will not come to the regeneration stage that we talk all the time. So for us to be part of this regeneration stage, we have to fix everything. And without reincarnation, guys, there is no chance. There is no chance to you, to me, or to most of us to fix all of our mistakes. At least myself, I made so many. So not one life, guys.
No, yeah. Well, it's we need to use our reason here, okay? For those who follow the program we have every Thursday, the Spiritual Light. Last week we discussed about heaven and hell, heaven or hell. You know, I will not enter into this, but there is no other way to, let's say something very quickly here. We can see that this idea of heaven and hell, it was introduced with the time. For example, the idea of heaven and hell is not a Christian idea, it's a Persian idea. And because the Persian people conquered that region, they imposed their beliefs. The idea of Satan, it's also Persian. So we need to go to the history and see how it works. But another thing we can say here, an idea in which we have someone who is an angel, and for some reason this angel did something wrong, and he was banished from heaven. Forget what you know. If God is omnipotent, omnipresent, and loving Father, why he gonna create something he knows that thing gonna fail and he needed to expel him from heaven? If this is the God you believe, this God is not the God. There is someone above him who which is God.
He's not perfect.
He's not perfect. The problem is we humanized God too much, and our God has our imperfections. That is a text from a Lebanese writer, Gibran Khalil. And in this text, he says, every hundred years, Jesus himself and Christian Jesus meet in a mountain, okay, to discuss, okay, and they end up this meeting saying, okay, we will go back next 100 years because we do not concur the same ideas.
They never agreed.
They never agreed because we humanized God, we humanized Christ, we humanized everything. We put our own imperfections to them. This is a bad thing. I don't say, no, this is not a bad thing, because this is the way we can see it, we can understand. We had to create this. Everything comes at the right time, at the right moment. So in the past, we have to go through this in order to become today more knowledgeable, and we can talk about it today in a different way. So it was not in vain. It's not useless. We have this to understand today. Is the beginning of our talk. An idea is introduced to us in small drops, little by little. But this take years, centuries, millennia, no, until we reach this now. Okay, so this is we need to understand. We needed to. I think that the most important thing we need to realize here is we are, and this is the lesson Spiritism saying to us is we are responsible for our own actions. Like Kardec says, this is an item 5 of the chapter 1 of the Gospel according to Spirit. Spiritism is the new science that has come to reveal to humanity by means of irrefutable proofs the existence and nature of the spiritual world and its relationship with the physical world. Okay? That's the role of the Spiritism. Explain this relationship between the material world and the spiritual world. Okay? If you prefer to say, oh, Spiritism is a science, is a religion, happy days. I'm not saying you need to believe, you need to concur with Wanderley and I are saying here. We are just saying, use your reason, study, and take your own conclusions. What we are saying here is based in our study, in our conclusions. Luckily, I have this guy here beside me who agrees with my ideas. You know?
Not all, but I agree.
Yeah, no, but yeah, we don't need to meet every 100 years, but every year we can meet, we can discuss, you know, we agree with something, we don't agree on another thing, and then we go to eat a sushi, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But that's the point we want to say here. It's not because we are saying this. Study, read, take your own interpretation, read it. Because if we found this, it's there. Read the Spiritist magazine from Kardec. It's full, is rich of examples. And reading the Spiritist magazine, you will be able to enter inside of Kardec's mind and see how he built
Kardec's time.
You know, yeah. You will see how was his logical way to make it. Okay, how he used in order to prove, because it's very strong the word he's saying here, by means of irrefutable proofs. So if it's irrefutable proofs, why are we still discussing it?
Yeah.
So go and find your answer.
And again, Stevan, think like this. As you were saying about Jesus and Moses, their ideas, they knew that wouldn't, especially Jesus, that their idea was they came to the world, they brought to the world, they knew that it would take centuries for us, thousands of years to really put inside of our hearts. Kardec is the same. Kardec knew it, that the world wouldn't accept Spiritism. And Kardec says that in the Spirits magazine. Kardec says that in the Genesis. that the time will come where society, part of society, a large part of society, will condemn his ideas, will condemn Spiritism ideas. However, as he says, that everything which is really truth, everything which really makes sense and helps society will last for longer or will last forever. So time will prove who is right and who is wrong. It's not because in society we have something which is legal, then that thing is correct. We take slavery, for example. Slavery was legal, but it was never correct. So people, they will attack Spiritism. People, they will attack the ideas, not only of Kardec, but Leon Denis, some ideas in the books that we have in Chico Xavier, some ideas from the books of Chico Xavier. But this slowly and day by day, what is real will be proven as real and will stay. What was wrong, perhaps because Kardec was a human, maybe Kardec said something which maybe time will prove. I don't really believe, because I honestly believe, I'm not saying that Kardec was the man who knew everything, but Kardec, as we said, he's just the postman. Who was behind Kardec? We call the spirit of truth, which in the Gospel according to Spiritism, it's a group of high evolved spirits. These spirits, they brought Spiritism. It wasn't Kardec. So again, the idea is not something humane, something which perhaps needs our petite approvals. This idea is an idea which is stay. Why? Because it's based in the moral of Jesus, not the religious Jesus, as Stevan said about Khalil Gibran, but the loving Jesus, the one who came to us and said that God loved each one of us, the one that brought to us the sense of forgiveness. This Jesus, about the religious Jesus, guys, humanity will forget, not forget him, but I think slowly, day by day, we're going to start to realize that some parts of the Bible, perhaps they were only for that time and to create some allegories to Jesus to bring his idea. But the moral ideas of Jesus, that ones they will stay.
Yeah, and also we needed to understand Christ didn't create any religion. His religion was love. Okay, just few years later, after he passed away, okay, in the church of
Antioch.
Ephesus, in Ephesus.
Ephesus, yeah, the Ephesus, Antioch.
Lucas gave the idea to say, hey, we are talking about Christ, and we can define ourselves as a Christians. And then the terminology of Christians began. Okay?
Sorry, Steve, I'll just interrupt you guys. If you want to know more about Luke, I recommend this book here, Dear Glorious Physician. It's not a Spiritist book. What's her name again? Cadwell, what's her name? Taylor Cadwell, guys. But it's a wonderful book about Luke. I'm reading it. I honestly believe that there was some inspiration from the spiritual world, but it's a really detailed and nice book about Luke, the apostle. And it shows his humanity aspects. It shows that he was born like us, with doubts, with fear, and he conquered himself. But it's a beautiful book, guys. Sorry, Steven.
And also, I'm putting here a link on the chat. This book here, the recent translation, a very good translation from the Gospel according to Spiritism. It's available on the Kindle version, and the price is $3.99. Yeah. So if you want to acquire a Kindle version, this book here, the Gospel according to Spiritism, is available on Amazon for $3.99. Okay, so 399 pounds. Perhaps in dollar is less than $2. No, in euro it's less than no, it's 370, 350 euros. So it's there. Also, we'll do, if you want this in PDF, I put a link here. You can get this for free, but the translation is not nice and fresh like this one here. Okay. Okay, just to tell you how you can get these, how you can understand better what are we talking about here. Okay, Wanderley, let's see. Guys, if you have any questions, please let us know, because we only have here 9 minutes. And and we needed to start to wrap up.
Yeah. But guys, I would recommend you guys to try to study the Gospel according to Spiritism. But at least for me, in the beginning, when I started to study it, a lot of parts of the Bible, for me, they didn't make sense at all. A lot of these things which Jesus said for me, or he was, I don't know, he had some mushrooms or anything like this. Sorry for my joke. But what I'm trying to say that for me, they didn't make sense. But once we start to study the historical aspect, once we start to understand who are the publicans, who are the Pharisees, who are the therapeutes, who are the Essenians, once you start to understand where Jesus lived, the place that he lived 2,000 years ago, and why he had to use parables, because he was talking to poor people, fishermen. Once you start to understand this, and also with the help of the Gospel according to Spiritism, with the spirits, I believe that, at least for me, it opened up my way of understanding the Bible or understanding his teachings. And at least for me, whenever I think about Jesus, I don't think more about the religious Jesus from the Bible, which I respect, but the Gospel according to Spiritism made me see him in a different way. At least for me, in a better way, anyway.
Exactly. And also, I put in here now the link for the PDF version, which is free of charge. So it's up to you guys. We have here the both resources. So you choose whatever one suits you. Let me say here, Linda saying, Providence provides us with what we need for our progress. Religion is one. Many people need religion to guide them to the truth. Agreed 100%. For me, it was a good foundation for Kardec books. Yes, Linda, I agree 100% with you. Some people need it. That's not, again, in this here, there is no right nor wrong. What is true here, it is what make you feel comfortable, what make reason for you, what make sense for you. This is what was valid here. Okay. Wanderley, could you write the name of the book about Lucas, please?
I'm just writing here now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just getting here properly here, because I'm going to give in Portuguese and in English here. I want to see the translation for Portuguese. Okay, o médico dos homens, yeah.
Also, Leah Smith says, please do pray, Jesus knows. Thank you both for sharing and speaking to me. Thank you, Leah. We are talking to everybody here. It's just to give me more, a better, not a better understanding. It's just to set you free, then say, hey, whatever you believe, whatever you want, whatever you think is valid. It is, but study it. Don't accept what anybody tells you and take this as a truth. Read, analyze, see the pros, see the cons, analyze again, and then you can read. You can have your own opinion or find out a meaning for you. So that's the book, Médico de Homens e Almas, Dear and Glorious Physician by Taylor Caldwell.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, Don, are you there? So, good, my friend. Good to see you're here with us today. Okay. Okay, let me see. And also, you know, guys, in terms of the Spiritist book, good translation is this book, the Spiritist book. This is available on Amazon. I'm not aware that is a Kindle version. It's just a paperback version. But it's a beautiful translation here. Really beautiful translation. Okay. So let me see. I think that's it for today. Next Tuesday, when we talk about, we're going to talk about the alliance of science and religion. What's the new era? So we will finish the chapter 1 of the Gospel according to Spiritism, and we talk more about it. Today is just trying to explain to you what the meaning of these 3 revelations here. Are you okay, my friend?
All good, yeah.
Okay. Your final words.
No, just like to thank everyone for being here with us. And I really hope that this talk makes some sense to you guys. I really hope.
Yeah, and anyway, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for your patience. And if you have any suggestion, if you have any ideas, let us know. Talk to us. Reach us on Facebook, or I think more than Facebook, or if you want to send an email to spiritismireland@gmail.com, spiritismireland@gmail.com. I put it here, the email here, spiritismireland@gmail.com, and send it. Let us know what you think, and we are here to help you. Not help you, because we are not in a position to help anybody here. We're in a position to share what we know. If this is useful for you, happy days. If not useful for you, let us know, because perhaps we have a wrong understanding as well. You know? But we are trying to use our reason here. And Wanderley, good book. Did you buy this book on Amazon?
I buy everything nowadays in Amazon. Everything.
Okay.
There is nothing.
Yeah.
There is no more place to buy.
I use Amazon from Germany.
From Germany, yeah, because from the UK we have to pay VAT.
Yeah.
So everything I buy from Amazon from Germany. Yeah. Everything. So quite happy.
Great. Now I need to speak Deutsch.
Me too. I don't speak Dutch. I just buy things from there.
That's why we have like a wonderful translation there. Yeah. Okay. So, can you do a final prayer, Wanderley?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, guys. For those who feel comfortable closing their eyes, I'd like to ask you to take a deep breath. Try to calm down our minds and our hearts. Let's try to concentrate ourselves in the present moment, forgetting about the troubles that we may have outside, forgetting about the difficulties that we are facing at the moment, and simply trying to be here at this time, at this moment, being thankful for what we have, despite of the entire troubles that we may be facing this life. Let's be thankful for the life itself and for the chance that we have to see the sun. And for those who cannot see, let's be thankful also because perhaps they can feel the warmth of the sun in their skin. And for those who may be in a very difficult moment, who perhaps are in the hospitals or in the jail, or maybe are alone, let's try to bring our love and our empathy to those. Let's try to put ourselves in their places. Let's try to put ourselves in the place of those who committed a crime, perhaps, who maybe didn't know any better. And let's try to not to judge them, but like the Christ said, forgive, have empathy and love. Because today, they are the ones who are committing their mistakes. And perhaps before, in our previous reincarnations, or even in this life, it was us. And once we were in this situation, in their position, we wouldn't want anyone judging us. That's why God is a loving God, but He's a just God also, who will give to each one of us according to what we do. But in the end, He's a loving Father, that once we fix all our mistakes, His love and care is waiting for us. Thank God, and so be it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. I'll see you on Thursday with Nate. I hope you have a blessed day, a wonderful Wednesday. I'll see you on Thursday. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.